Ebro in the morning, the beautiful Laura Stiles and the amazing, the legend Samuel L. Jackson is on the program. Give it up. Well, you didn't like legend and amazing and all that?
I always try to figure out, why am I legendary? I just got a job.
Nah, stop. Laura Stiles, what did you tell me this morning? You said he's the what?
Oh, you're the highest. Okay, hold on. I have it right here. Because it's I have to make sure. This is a fact. I don't know if this is still a fact. You're ranked the highest all-time box office star with over 4.57 billion total box office gross. That's an average of like 70 million a film.
That's not.
That's not a fact?
Well, it's a fact, yeah.
Yo, we just came out of Black History Month. That should have been a part of a Black History Month fact.
Well, last month, I think at the beginning of Black History Month, it was probably Harrison had passed me again.
Got it. So that's the battle. That's the battle.
So Triple X put me back on top.
Got it.
And I think this will help me.
Skull Island is what we're talking about today, and that'll bring him back.
King Kong will take you back to the top of that,
take
right?
me back to the top, and then Incredibles 2 at some point next year.
Incredibles? I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Incredibles 2.
Keep me killing it.
So there's so many King Kong, visually amazing. I remember growing up as a kid. There's been so many different versions of King Kong.
But you probably only watched Peter Jackson or whatever. Did you ever watch the original when he's hanging off the Empire State Building? Oh,
yes.
You watched that?
Well,
okay.
I mean, you've seen clips. I don't know if I watched the whole thing.
I mean, that's the picture that everybody always knows. King Kong, Empire State Building, swatting down airplanes.
Right.
In the last
holding on to Fay Ray. Yeah.
The last big box office one, they did the same thing in there, right? They had a King Kong with Jack Black or somebody.
Jack Black and all those guys.
They ran up the Empire State again.
Oh, they brought him to the city too? I don't remember that movie that well.
Yeah.
Now, this one is the prequel to Godzilla. Am I correct or no?
I don't know if I'd say that.
Okay.
Yeah, well, kind of, sort of, maybe, because this takes place in 1973, right at the end of the Vietnam War. So when we get to Skull Island, he's there and he's 100 feet tall, but he's a baby, basically.
Okay.
So by the time they bring him up to modern times, where you might find Godzilla, he will have had time to grow and be a formidable opponent.
Got it. But you ain't giving the whole thing away.
Well, I don't know it yet, you know. I mean, they haven't told us that for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's the plan.
Now, growing up, the whole Empire State Building imagery with the pristine little blonde and the big black savage thing. You know, my dad raised me on that. You see that right there, boy?
Yeah, of course.
That's white supremacy. You see what they doing right there? They trying to scare you and scare the white people with the whole thing.
Yeah. They're still doing that. Just doing it different.
Doing it different. So where on the Skull Island, this plot line doesn't bring it to New York City.
No, we stay on the island. But the whole premise is that when we get to Skull Island, there's these other things there. And there's just one thing that everybody assumes can swim and do whatever. And there's been this other thing like Godzilla's in the water and all this other stuff. So they know that Kong is the one thing that stands between humanity and those things.
Got it.
Kong is willing to defend man from those things.
I'm into listen, I just have to commend you. You're the villain that character you've developed in the Marvel. Most of it is Marvel, right?
Well, I don't think Nick Fury's a villain.
He's not quite a villain. He's a hero, but
yeah, he's just a badass, and he doesn't, he doesn't adhere to authority very well.
Right. Yeah. And then what was the other film where you were the billionaire and you had a speech impediment like Russell Simmons?
Oh, Kingsman.
Kingsman. I loved you in Kingsman.
Yeah.
Love that film. What movie did Hollywood discover you as this person we're seeing today, right? Because I feel like there was a definitive moment, like after Snakes on a Plane or Black Snake Moan or one of those, that you kind of went into like this zone of Samuel L. Jackson's that dude. Like you became, was it Triple X maybe the first time or?
I don't know. It's hard to say. It could have been Pulp because Jules is an interesting kind of guy. He's very professional and he does his job and he knows what it is and he could be cold-blooded and be that guy, and he has leadership abilities. So I don't know exactly where that happened because I know it wasn't Gator.
No, it wasn't Gator. Wasn't the dance in the kitchen.
No, Gator's the guy that got me into Hollywood. So Gator changed the whole game for me in terms of me going to work and being able to do the things that I'm able to do and make choices about what I was going to do. So
Gator dance for mama.
Yeah, so I started to make those kinds of choices. But I played different kinds of leaders, even in, Army pictures, like Rules of Engagement.
Wow, I forgot about that.
Yeah, they always tend to put me in charge of people in an interesting sort of way. So
you do have even when I first met you here today, you do have a very authoritative posture.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Well, your dad, you got that dad thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
but
I really don't know why or how, but some people might say, I've been typecast, but I always try to think that all those guys are different in interesting sorts of ways. I mean, even down to, Stephen is running things on the plantation in Django.
It's a very different character. I was so happy when they killed your ass, boy.
Really?
I know.
I was like, yo, fuck that motherfucker right
I was
there.
so
Kill that
angry.
motherfucker
I was
right
so
there.
angry at that time, too.
I still post your photo. When somebody out here, Uncle Tommen and carrying on, I post your photo.
Well, you're nowhere near as angry as you would have been had they kept all the stuff that I did in that movie.
Really?
Yeah, Quentin took a lot of stuff out of there because he was like, I don't want nobody to kill you on the street.
Can you talk about a few, maybe? One or two?
Well, at one point when Django's hanging upside down in that barn, I actually tortured his ass. I had a hot poker. I burned his nipples off. And I did shit to him that we shot. And he was like, I can't show that, man. People will kill you on the street.
Yeah.
Imagine watching.
I wasn't sure if I liked
he
you
needs
anymore.
to do an uncut version of that movie. Then you'll really be able to express your hate for Steve.
So in hearing you talk right now, right?
Yeah.
You love, because us as fans of you, like in watching Django, I wasn't sure if I liked you anymore. I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah, that's good.
I wasn't quite, and that's you doing your job.
Yeah.
But I see in your smile and that little smirky, little sinister thing, like you love fucking with motherfuckers. Like I see it. Like that's really you.
Well, I love taking a character as far as a character is supposed to go in a film, to give an audience what they paid for.
Right.
I want people, if they're supposed to hate me, then hate me. I'm not concerned about being, the most loved character in a film. I want them to get the full experience of what they're supposed to get from that particular character. Even Valentine in Kingsman, he's interesting and funny, but, kind of malevolent.
Oh, was that purposeful to make it feel like a Russell Simmons type person with the dress and the hat and the shoes, and it was very like?
Well, I had already made up my mind to have that speech thing, the lisp, and then when I got there, the costumer decided to dress me that way. So we just went with it.
Yeah.
And it got to be fun. I said, so
Russell didn't pick up on it?
I'm gonna make Russell a Bond villain. Yeah, when I saw him, I actually said, I have this movie coming out. You're gonna be surprised by it. And he was like, what? And I said, just wait till you see it. And then I saw him after he saw it. He was like, thank you. I was like, I'm a badass. Yeah, you made me a badass. It's like, okay.
Out of all the movies that you've done, is there a character that you specifically love the most, or a project that it's
Mitch
special to you?
Hennessy. Yeah, Mitch Hennessy from Long Kiss Goodnight. Because I had such a great time making that movie with Gina.
With Gina Davis.
Yeah, and she was like so far ahead of her time in terms of being a woman that kicked ass in movies. She's like a badass in this movie. And they didn't know how to advertise it or how to market it because they hadn't had a woman like that. But, we were truly miserable making that movie because it was like average, negative 37 in Canada when we were shooting that movie. She was outdoors and like wife beaters and barefoot and shit, so it was crazy. But we had a great time making it, and I think it's one of the most kick-ass movies ever made.
Long Kiss Goodnight, yeah, that's a class. People love that film.
Yeah, women love it.
Yeah.
Because Charlie Baltimore, that's where Charlie Baltimore came from.
That's right. That's right.
And she dyed her hair and was back and said, Charlie Baltimore. I said, oh, shit.
Are you a big music fan outside of movies? Because we were talking about the movies that you like. Are you a big music fan?
Now I listen to music all the time, yeah.
You got any favorites right now? Your kid, you got daughters,
Yeah, his
right?
daughter.
I got one daughter.
One daughter.
Yeah, she's grown.
Okay, so she ain't out here
so she
beating you in the head with rap music.
No.
Debates no more.
No. Well, she never did, actually. She was always a kind of alt music person. She knows hip-hop and all this other stuff now. But no, she's busy. She's a producer on like Top Chef Masters.
Oh, that's dope.
She's also doing, she's doing the Black Bachelorette right now.
Oh, wow.
Can we talk about that? Is that?
I don't know. I don't know anything about it, but yeah, we can talk about it.
I just saw a headline. It was like the first black bachelorette.
Right.
And they're using that as like the marketing for it now, right? Is that right, Laura Stiles?
I mean, pretty much, because it is the first black bachelorette.
Yeah.
That was peculiar to me. I thought they did that already.
No, they haven't even had that many brothers on there trying to hit them up. There's always been black women on the show, passing through there. But she's the one that's gotten the furthest because apparently every year one of the final 2 or final 3 becomes the bachelorette.
Right.
Next year. So
Something like
she's
that.
the one that's gotten.
Wow. Okay. I had no idea. Well, salute to your daughter.
Me either until, my daughter told me.
Salute to everybody involved in that. Big deal. Speaking of that, you in your past and being just a person, an activist person, I don't think people know this, but we read that you stuck up Morehouse at a certain time. You and your
we locked the trustees in the building.
And that eventually gave you a felony, right?
No, I've never ever.
That's what I read. I was like, whoa.
I have never ever been arrested.
Okay.
I've had lots of police encounters, but I've never even been in cuffs or anything else. I've been laid out in the middle of the street in L.A.
Salute to you, sir.
All kind of stuff, but
Never been arrested.
Never been arrested.
Wow.
And why would you lock the trustees of Morehouse in the building?
For change, bro.
Well, back in the day, Morehouse didn't have a Black Studies program. The students had no voice in what happened on campus. We had no community involvement. It was just this elitist place that sat in the middle of this community. She can tell you, she was there. And we were right in the middle of some projects, and we had no community involvement whatsoever. And, guys in Morehouse were getting robbed and beat up all the time. I used to hang out with those guys. They actually didn't know I went to Morehouse for like a year. I used to go up in the hood and play ball with them and drink beer and hang out.
What kind of beer y'all was drinking? Schlitz?
Colt 45.
Colt 45?
Yeah, Colt 45 back in the day. So we wanted that changed. Then we locked them in a building and got it changed.
Man.
And then they kicked us out of school while everybody was gone.
And so you got kicked out of Morehouse?
Oh, yeah.
So where did you end up graduating?
I ended up graduating from Morehouse. They kicked me out for like a year and a half, and then my mom threatened to sue them, and they let me back in school.
Got it.
But I didn't. The only time I set foot on campus after that was to register, and I took all my classes at Spelman. I was in the drama department over there, so I didn't even go on Morehouse's campus.
And after that happened, did you guys see any changes?
I guess they did. I didn't go over there. So.
Eventually. You did it for a reason. Okay.
Scotty, you was out there. There was some changes. Morehouse was more not such an elitist, not involved in the community.
Well, it's still
place.
the same. I mean,
it's still the same.
She's like,
Well, you can get sort of a look at what it is now from the Quad, because they shoot it on Morehouse, Clark, and Spelman. I watched it a couple times.
What do you think?
Interesting.
The Quad, that's on BET.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said interesting.
Well,
Interesting. Car accidents are interesting for some people.
Well, I have issues with shows that have these smart, strong black women on them, like Scandal, and the woman who becomes the president of that school, Nika Noni Rose, good friend, love watching her work. But when you have somebody that's that smart, that had a job at some, I guess, big white school who got fired because she was sleeping with a student, and then she comes and takes this job at this HBCU because it's way beneath her and her abilities, but she's supposed to bring them up. And that same student that got you kicked out of your job before it transfers to that school, and you keep sleeping with him, then you diminish your intelligence and your integrity to me. And I don't care what they say about, it's passion, I feel the same way when I watch Scandal. It's like, the one brother that was on the show that was hooked up with her, you saw him, you slept with her maybe once in the sort of kind of, but you never saw him kissing, you didn't see him hugging, you didn't see him in bed with her. But she sleep with the president. President can throw up against the wall or bend her over a studio or bend her over a desk somewhere, and then the dude that's stalking you or spying on you for the president, all he got to do is make himself known. You're like, oh, yeah. Next thing you know, they pounding it out. And I'm like, I can't take it.
So you feel like they're cheapening the value of the black women they're putting in these roles.
I want them to be smarter, and I want to have someone who understands that your emotions don't have to run your life, or your libido doesn't have to run your life, because they're always talking about that, and we're supposed to be these savages that can't control our emotions. It's like, the blood leaves your head and goes straight to your crotch. And you make stupid decisions. Right. I hate that.
It pisses you off. And I appreciate that
It
that
bothers
pisses you
me.
off.
Yeah, it bothers me.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
On that, speaking of pissing you off, Donald Trump pissed you off.
When?
Remember there was a golf thing on Twitter. You said you golfed. He said you didn't golf. You was like, here's the receipt, clown. Boom.
Okay, yeah.
Not that you were pissed. Pissed off is an
It
overstatement.
didn't bother me. It's just one of those things. It's like another half truth, untruth. I said he cheated, and he said he never even met me or whatever, and da 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 da. But we played golf a few times together, and he used to actually call my apartment. He actually called my apartment to go play golf with him one day, and I got to the golf course, and he wasn't gonna play, but it was Bill Clinton. I ended up playing with Bill, which is fine. But
Whatever.
I can't waste my time thinking about that, and dealing with stuff.
Well, I'm sure you are thinking about some of
Anthony
the...
Anderson co-signed it. He was there.
Yeah, we saw that.
Yo, so happy for Anthony Anderson and everything he's doing with
Ant's
Blackish.
kicking it, yeah. Blackish is a great show.
Phenomenal. Do you, I'm sure you're not a Trump supporter.
No.
Not at all. Do you, as many presidents have you seen come and go in your time and voted? Have you ever seen anything this crazy?
No.
Nothing like this.
No, nothing.
And now he's accused Barack Obama of a crime. I did the same thing. I laughed.
Yeah, I mean, Bill's got to do something on the weekend. When he leaves, he's sitting, like somebody said, he's sitting on the toilet thinking, he must be wiretapping me. Say that.
Distraction tactic.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like dude is like, doing his homework and reading the briefings from everybody else, So he just, he hears something on the radio, and I guess they're saying, this is something he heard on Breitbart last week or whatever, and all of a sudden
Well, his friend runs that site. His one racist friend runs that site.
That's not his only racist friend.
Well, the one that's in
dude,
there all the time.
The one that's in his ear.
Right.
All the time. That's because the other dude is just as racist as he is. So there's a few of those, and you gotta. Man, come on. I mean, politics will make us crazy. We need to do something. People need to do what we're doing. Keep on resisting. Keep on raising your voice. And eventually, something's gonna catch up with dude.
Yeah.
I mean, he can't keep denying all of that.
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
I'm not even one of those where there's smoke. I'm not a where there's smoke, there's fire guy, but where there's incompetence, there's failure.
Yeah.
So let's just give it.
Let's give it time. Give it time. Are you happy with what you're seeing as far as young people and the activism? And people really, because there is that silver lining of this
but it's kind of
moment.
late though. They should have been doing that when it was time to vote.
They needed motivation. They needed an enemy.
Yeah,
we
needed
an
that.
enemy.
See, that's what we needed then. But everybody, half of them were pissed off because Bernie Sanders didn't get nominated, and that was their guy. And it was like, look, but you don't understand. Not voting is a vote for the wrong person, and staying home cost you. And now you want a new election, 3 days later, it's like, oh, we got to have a new election. I'm in the streets, so vote over. No, dude, that's not how it works.
I know, but for a lot of young people, all they knew was Barack Obama. So they felt that, it's all good. They felt like it was all good. I think
that's
now...
not all they knew was Barack Obama. The people who were of age to vote knew Bush before that, and they knew whatever. The only people that only knew Barack Obama are people at 8 years old.
Well, no, you had some people who their first vote was 18.
I got that.
And they wasn't paying attention before that.
They should have been.
Well, yes.
But that's part of the problem, that people don't pay attention, or there's a generation that gets their news from the wrong place or doesn't get any news at all. All they do is, they text their friends and talk about it, and then politics is not part of what their life is because they don't understand that they're going to be affected by it down the line. And I get it. I mean, I've been young once, but when we were young, we didn't have the distractions of, online. We had each other to talk to, and we could see what we wanted to fight against, or those things were ever present in our lives. And we didn't have the advantages that, young people have today. So we had to fight. We had to be in the street, and we had to raise our voices and make things happen. But, it's a level of comfort, happened that we just didn't have. And now they're going to see what that is, because that level of comfort is being taken, or they're going to see a lot of their friends being infringed upon in a different way than they have been before, and sort of things that they've taken for granted are not going to be there anymore. Mm-hmm. So they got to raise their voices and they got to fight.
Which brings me to a next piece and listening to you talk. It's not often that we get to sit across and hear from someone like yourself who has seen.
The old motherfucker that's been around.
Nah. Just like, yeah, yes, and
I might be the oldest. I might be the oldest guest you ever had on this show.
We had Jane Elliott. We had some people up here spitting that shit.
All right.
But on that, I would love for you, because you lived through it. 67, 68, 69, right? You being young.
Mm-hmm.
How it felt, because I heard from my dad, but maybe young people, their parents aren't old enough that are watching us right now to remember how it felt to lose leadership like Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, to have voices like a James Baldwin at that time, right? And people that were really active and really doing something. Muhammad Ali being active, like you had that as a young person.
Well, C. Rap Brown, Stokely Carmichael.
Yeah.
I mean, these were people that inspired us, that said things that kind of stick with you forever. You understand what the phenomenon is that you're experiencing. But I mean, there are also cultural differences too, because I grew up in Tennessee in segregation. So from the time I was born until I left Tennessee, I had another idea of what America was anyway, because I grew up in an America where there were places I couldn't go, or things I couldn't do, or I saw the whites only signs on water fountains or at particular places and all this other stuff. So when things happen culturally now or even then, I was not shocked by them in the specific way that most people are shocked now, because it was what I expected. Because the dominant culture has always tried to make me believe that they were in charge in a specific way. And I'm not shocked by, the new administration or how, dude ran his campaign or any of that. It's kind of like, when I hear "Make America Great Again," I just kind of smile. I know what that means. Because I was there when they thought America was great, or That's when right. It was great for them. So once they get, all the Muslims out of the country and move the brown people back out of the country where they want them, next thing they want to see us bent over in the cotton fields singing spirituals. And then America
free.
And then America be great again. And I don't care, what folks go, oh, that's some racist stuff. It's like, that's the image they want. Those are the guys. I mean, he looks exactly like those dudes I used to see with their white shirts rolled up and the suspenders, and the only thing missing is that little nasty half a cigar sticking out of his mouth. But he's that same dude, and they're the same cats, and that's what they want. And all we can do is continue to resist, raise our voices, worry about them starting a war, because the only way they can clean out, Chicago, Detroit, Watts, and all these other places is reinstate the draft and put all these young brothers on the front line and hope they get killed and don't come back home. And then they can have another part of making America great, because then they start to decimate the population, to make sure that, we're not procreating and doing all the things that we normally do. So there's a lot of stuff that, people need to wake up to and think about and look around and see that they need to resist and fight. Now, even if we get rid of dude, the dudes behind him are just as bad or worse, because they're actually kind of smart.
Right? He's a puppet. He's just a figurehead.
Well, he's reactionary and kind of twisted mentally. These guys are calculating. Those are the guys we got to worry about.
Samuel L. Jackson, ladies, I appreciate you sharing that, man. That's so much love. And on that, well, I guess not really on that, but we saw a major shift at the Oscars this year.
Really? I'm just messing with you.
No, you're not.
What?
I'm like, no, you're not.
What?
Well, it seemed like they made it.
Well, they weren't Oscars so white this year. But, I mean, even when the hashtag Oscars so white was happening, and you got to go back and look at that year and go, well, what movie should have been nominated that didn't get nominated?
And that's where the issue starts, though. The issue starts with the movies that are getting made.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Number one, that's the part. I mean, there are younger people who are writing stories. There are younger people directing, and they reflect the world that they grew up in an interesting way that makes films about a real world, a world where you see people of color or stories about people of color. I mean, this time last year, everybody was waiting on Birth of a Nation to be at the Oscars and burn it up, said, that's the movie right here, Birth of a Nation, and then some other shit happened.
Well, they tore that down. They let Casey Affleck win this year, but they had a problem with Nate Parker.
Yeah, you're right, and that happens, and then you get Moonlight, you get Hidden Figures, you get Fences. There's some other movies out there that probably could have been part of that conversation, but it's really great that these people told their stories. I mean, hopefully next year there'll be even more, or there'll be stories by women or women of color that get their things out there. I don't expect what's the name of the horror movie that's out right now?
Oh, Get Out.
Get Out. Get Out ain't gonna be
Have
there.
you seen it?
I haven't seen it yet,
Okay.
but I plan to see it. That's a whole nother story.
Wait,
No,
what?
I think it's great that movie is doing everything that it's doing, and people are loving it and they're feeling it.
And some hating it, and
well, we know who hates it. But the thing in my mind is, I know the young brother is in the movie, and he's British, so there are a lot of black British actors that work in this country all the time. So I tend to wonder, what would that movie have been with an American brother who really understands that in a way? Because, I mean, Daniel grew up in a country where, they've been interracial dating for 100 years, Britain's, there's only about like 8 real white people left in Britain. The rest of them, mixed. So what would a brother from America have made of that role? And I'm sure the director helped, and, some things are universal, but everything ain't.
That's right.
Which is one of the things about Selma and some other things. I go, well, there's some brothers from America that could have been in that movie that would have, had a different idea about how that works, or about how King thinks, or about
what
how
is that
King
casting
felt,
thing where you get the British black actor versus the American black actor to play the black? What is that?
They're cheaper than us for one thing.
Huh.
They don't cost as much.
Oh, wow.
Well, okay.
In an interesting way, unless you're, unknown brother that they find in somewhere. And they think they're better trained for some reason than we are, because they're classically trained. I don't know what the love affair is with all of that. It's all good. Everybody needs to work, but there's a lot of brothers here that need to work too.
Yeah.
Right.
I always wondered that. I didn't know if that was just happenstance, but me, I'm a conspiracy theorist, so
They come here because there are more opportunities, and they actually get paid when they work here. They make more money in this country than they do in that country, which is fine. I mean, how long did it take you to figure out, Striker Bell wasn't, just a brother from Baltimore?
Right.
Until you heard
Stringer,
you heard Idris talking, you go,
wait a minute.
Hold up. For real?
Yeah.
And not to mention that the white people too. The white cop was British. There's a bunch of British folks on that show.
I like Sam. I could do this all day.
Right. How did you feel about Moonlight?
I enjoy Moonlight a lot. I loved watching, the transitions of all the, brothers that played that one particular character. They were great. I'm glad Mahershala, won.
Right.
Because now
he's from Oakland. There you go. Oakland.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. He's not British.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure.
He used to be a rapper. Take it a step further.
Yeah. I read that the other day. Rapper, baller. Yeah. But he wasn't in Coach Carter. He didn't go to that high school.
He wasn't in Richmond. Nah,
he didn't go to Richmond.
Nah, he didn't go there.
Hanging out in Hercules.
Nah.
All those places. But it's going to give him an opportunity to shape his career in a different way. Once you stop going to auditions and you start getting choices, people always go, yeah, you got this, you're so lucky, blah, blah, blah. Things change, because when you go to auditions, you kind of taking the job that somebody gives you, and you just hope you get in that particular movie. When you're sitting at home reading scripts and you got to make choices about what you want to do or what you want to do next, then you're kind of mapping out how you're going to get through that. And you don't get as many chances as those white actors to do movies that don't make money. You got to put asses in seats like pretty quick to keep working, So we'll see how that works out for him. I hope it works well, and I hope he makes some great choices and he's doing stuff that make him happy. You can't do things because you want to get paid. You have to do things that you feel in here make you happy when you do them. You know, I choose movies sometimes just because they're movies I would have gone to see when I was a kid, like King Kong.
Right.
You know, or I choose movies sometimes just because I like this story, but I don't want to be the lead guy in it, but I want to be in it so that people will have an awareness of it, and I'll do 2 or 3 days in it so people will get there and, you know, hope they see me, you know. But it's an interesting dynamic when you get to make the choice.
Do the young actors reach out to Samuel L. Jackson and ask you for advice and guidance? Is that
nobody got my phone number?
Ain't nobody calling me.
Now I run into guys in different places. It's like when I was on Kong, I had Corey and Jason that were fresh off, you know, straight out of Compton.
Right.
And we started calling Corey because Corey got that new 24 job when we were shooting Kong, so we started calling him Black Bauer.
Yeah, that's right. He is the Black Bauer.
Black Bauer.
Yeah.
He was learning how to hold guns and be a, you know,
tough guy
from these SEALs that were on set, so they were working the shit out of him. But I talked to Jason and Corey, you know, and have fun with them, you know, when they want to talk about that stuff or what was it, you know, when I first got to Hollywood. But everybody's doesn't feel like they need advice. Sometimes guys think they know it already or they're there and they got it hooked up. You know, when I first got to Hollywood, I was fortunate. My agent happens to be really good friends with people like Sidney Poitier. So I was at her house at a party and he pulled me over on the sofa and sat me down and we started talking. And then we played golf together for a couple of years.
Wow.
You know, and talked every day when we were out on the golf course about Hollywood and what was happening and how it was for him and the difference between me, him, and what's happening now. And I would tell him what I'm going through with different studios and how they worked. And he was like, you know, it's one of those people that, you know, that help me shape how I was navigating, you know, and taught me the power of no. You know, sometimes, you know, people want you to do something, you just go, nah, you know, and then before you know it, they're back, you know, go, well, how about now? No. Nah, you know, and you find something else and then people start competing. So the things you have to learn, you know, the business changes and goes through different things. So the fact now that there's so many platforms for young actors to work cuts down on the animosity that actors have in Hollywood. They used to have, that was a huge difference between New York and Hollywood. Because when I was here, we rode the train together, we went to an audition, I'd see people, we were all going to the same auditions anyway. We walked to the next audition together, we pool our money and eat together, we go watch each other work, we do stuff. When you're in California, you're in your car, and you drive to an audition, you see the same brothers that you see at all the auditions, and that one brother in there gets the majority of the job, so everybody hates that motherfucker, you know, 'cause he's there and he's getting all the jobs. So you don't have that same camaraderie that we had when we were here, and we cared about each other, or we would call somebody and go, I went to an audition today and I ain't right for that, but you are, so you need to get there.
Yeah.
They don't do that in Hollywood.
Got it.
The dynamic changes, but because there's so many platforms through, you know, cable and television better than movies now.
Well, the Netflix, the HBO, and all that.
Yeah, the Amazon, all of that, you know, FX, Sci-Fi. There are great shows out there, and they all have people of color in them. So there are a lot more people working, so there are a lot more opportunities for them to work. And there's still shows coming on, like Bernie Sands is getting ready to happen. That's some kind of frat TV show, and Dear White People, the series is, you know, hitting. So there's stuff in the Quad, you know. So there's stuff, you know, for everybody to do. Being Mary Jane, then, you know, Luke Cage, you know, all this stuff.
Yeah.
So there's great opportunities for young people to, you know, show their stuff. Plus you got, you know, web series, people doing that. Issa Rae came from a web series.
Right.
You know,
Right.
she did a whole bunch of dope stuff on.
That's incredible.
Online.
Her story is incredible. I love her story.
Listen, man, I used to love Ratchet Piece Theater. You know, I show that to people all the time. You know, when she used to break down the hot rap song of the week, that was hilarious to me. I loved it.
Well, they're wrapping us. Before I let you out of here, Samuel, Samuel L. Jackson.
Sam's good.
Sam's good. Sam, are you in Black Panther?
No, never was.
So
Black Panthers weren't a Southern thing. They were like an East
No,
Coast.
no, not the Black Panthers. The movie.
the movie.
In
Black
the
Panther.
movie Black Panther.
No, they're not letting my black ass go through Wakanda. I was trying. I asked. I was like, "What do you mean?" They said,
you already in the. We're getting
I'm in the universe.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey, you didn't see me in Civil War. I'm still out there trying to figure out what the skull.
They're not trying to cut you out of the whole legacy, are they? Not trying to make sure. No.
I had a 9-picture deal. I've only done like 7 of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I still got stuff to do. And,
Damn, no Wakanda for you.
Yeah.
Damn.
No Wakanda.
Samuel L. Jackson, is in King Kong. There isn't King Kong hanging off the tower with the pristine white lady this time. It's actually taking place on an island, so it's going to be very interesting and very dope.
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson, it's a pleasure meeting you, sir.
Thank you.
Congrats, and just thanks for sharing today.
Yeah, I'd love to come back.